along on this Wednesday, getting into the Cuse and Purdue. Getting ready to roll for the week. Getting ready to watch this game. Of course, you're going to be listening to the game on TK99. We know that. But if you happen to be watching the game, you'll be doing that on NBC on Saturday night. Looking forward to that. I like our options. Our options expanding in the primetime offering when it comes to college football. Yet again, let me make sure I get this intro properly for our next guest, because now joining us is Noah Eagle, who will call Syracuse at Purdue this Saturday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on NBC and Peacock. It's week 3 of NBC Sports' new Big Ten Saturday night package. You'll be joined in the booth by Todd Blackledge with Catherine Tappett on the sidelines. All right. How was that, Noah? Did I properly get everything for you? I think that sets the table for us for Saturday this week.
Yeah, no, now I feel like I can properly get Higgy with it. I think we're fully in it. So, yeah, no, that was outstanding. You nailed it.
All right. One intro was more formal than the other, but that's okay. That's okay. We can roll either way. But get us into it, Noah. I mean, when last we talked, I think NBA was wrapping up. You had just accepted this new gig, and we're making preparations. You're 3 weeks into it now. What's the vibe of NBC Saturday night? Have you been enjoying the experience so far?
Yeah, high vibes, high positivity, high optimism, and really everything you could ask for. You know, I think they have, meaning NBC, has really put us in a position to succeed, myself and Todd and Catherine, as you mentioned. We've got a really good support system around us. So Matt Marvin, our producer, Chuck Denmeyer, our director, are outstanding in what they do. And then we've got an awesome studio show that's on the road with us, led by Maria Taylor, led by Cuse alum Ahmed Fareed. I don't know. I went Ahmed Fareed. No, Ahmed Fareed, who is awesome, by the way, just outstanding at what he does as well. And then fantastic personalities around them with Matt Castle, with Mike Robinson, with the great Joshua Perry, who is basically Mr. Big Ten and has so much knowledge of the conference. So it's been really fun. We've got a great team, and we've had 2 fun games so far, and I'm looking forward to this one because we know how crazy it was a year ago.
Yeah, I mean, it was a fantastic game in the Dome last year, and we'll get into that, I'm sure, here, Noah. How have you noticed the Big Ten embracing this? Because there was more than zero pushback from the league, right? Not all these places like the idea of the Saturday night or the late November, and Purdue has barely hosted any night games ever. Are they realizing the advantages of this thing yet, of everybody getting to watch you on TV at this time of day?
Yeah, I think slowly but surely they're getting there. Certainly Penn State week 1 helped to kind of solidify it and having that environment, and for us, really just showcasing what they have. And I think that's what Ahmed's so good at, is that he goes around all these places, and if you watch the pregame show and the halftime coverage, you see him kind of with the students and showcasing just how special each campus is. And I think that's what we're there for. We're not just there to do the game. We're there to show exactly what makes each one of these campuses special, what makes each of these kids special, the coaches, and really encapsulate the schools the best we can. And so I think slowly but surely each place is going to recognize that, and the hope is that by the end of year 1, everybody is just completely on board moving forward. It does help that the 4 schools that are joining the conference next year, Oregon, Washington, USC, UCLA, are all West Coast schools. So they're not going to be concerned at all about a 7:30 Eastern kickoff. That's actually right in their wheelhouse. But for the other ones, I think they're going to your point, start to see some of the advantages from a preparation standpoint and certainly from just an exposure standpoint.
Yeah. Next year, you're both going to get that. You'll get the Rose Bowl sunset like we get during the Rose Bowl, and you'll be confused why
right.
You'll be confused why you moved all the way across the country at that point, because you'll be back where you used to live.
But here's the thing, Brian. My mileage and my status are going to be untouchable.
That's true. Next year, Noah's status is going to be elite. I mean, he'll be top of the pile for that. And you think about it. Obviously, NBC has done football for years and done college football for years, but it's been Notre Dame exclusive in the college football. ESPN and Fox, they do 8 million games a week. What does it allow you guys to do that, every week you either have like 2 games with Notre Dame in your game or just the 1 game that allows kind of all the efforts, I guess, of one broadcasting company to focus on this game of the week?
Yeah, I think that's really what makes NBC so special. It's an astute observation because it's not just with college football, even NFL, right? CBS, Fox, they do a handful of NFL games, 6 or 7 a week. NBC does one, and that's Sunday Night Football, and they pour everything within the network and the company into it to make it the best possible production on television. And I've felt that so far with the Big Ten Saturday night package. It's so many more people involved than I've ever had on any other broadcast crew. There's so many more people that are on the road with us. They're just, every single corner is covered. There's 0 stones unturned, and they want to make sure that we have every resource that we could possibly even think about to just go out there and make our jobs easy. And it felt that way through the first 2 weeks, and I fully anticipate it to continue now here in week 3 and so on and so forth. But it really is what makes NBC special. I think the storytelling aspect of what they do sets them apart really on every property that they have because, again, it's not even just the NFL. If you just go across the other properties that NBC Sports is in charge of, the Olympics, that's their thing. That's their baby, right? So they go all in on that. That includes all the Olympic sports. Their golf coverage, they want to make sure that they are mastering every aspect of the game and so on and so forth. They only do the French Open tennis-wise, but when they do it as high quality as they possibly can to make sure that the audience is getting what they need. I think it just stretches from every property, and you can feel it when you're in the building.
Are you doing the Paris 2024 reads yet? Is that in the mix? Like, are we getting pumped up for this summer on Saturday night? How does that work for your end?
Yeah, I would say I'm getting pumped up. I would say that we're definitely gonna have more information as we go, but let's just say I'm getting pumped up. I'd say that's fair.
All right, we'll look for we'll see if Noah Lyles sprints across our screen at some point on Saturday. he might be mad about it. I don't know, but we'll see if he can do that. Very important question: is McDonough mad at you? You have taken his color guy, like he was with Blackledge there for a minute. Like, has Sean called you with a scolding that you stole his guy?
Yeah, look, is it Cuse on Cuse crime? Absolutely.
Yeah, a little bit here. It's a little bit.
Absolutely, yeah. I would say it's worse for Todd because at least if he was going to escape one Cuse alum, you would think, all right, maybe I could get away from this and not have to hear about how Syracuse should have been national champions in 1987 under Dick McPherson and Don McPherson. But no, I've already mentioned that at least 2 times this year. And so I think that it's, if anything, Sean's just happy that we can continue the Orange tradition. We have chatted about it. He did text me right when the news came out, and then he texted us after week 1 just saying that we sounded great and how great it was to see us together and how much fun it seems like we're having. But I know he misses Todd, not just on the air, but they had built a great friendship off the air, and they still talk pretty much every day. So, we're making sure that we still have Sean heavily involved with what we do, and hopefully vice versa. But he's been nothing but fantastic for us so far, which has been great. Right, but well, I know he's wrong. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you're keeping that Penn State or Blackledge in line about about the 80s.
Exactly. No, he's got to know about Rod Moore. He knows.
Yeah,
he knows.
Okay, good. It's important that these things continue. No, Noah Eagle is our guest here from NBC. Also importantly, Todd always did those Taste of the Town segments over the years when he was with Sean on those broadcasts. He must be taking you out to some good places for dinner before these games.
Yeah, so okay, that's the fair question right there. Because a lot of people, when he announced he was coming to NBC, everyone on Twitter, all I saw, because a lot of the tweets I was tagged in, all I saw was, Taste of the Town is coming back, or Taste of the Town, bring it back, we want Taste of the Town. And I agree, Taste of the Town is great, but he said that he's done it, he's not going to do Taste of the Town. However, he is a foodie, very much a foodie, and so everywhere we go, especially if he's been there. Like last week we had Maryland and Charlotte at College Park. He hadn't been to College Park in many, many years since he played there in the early 80s against Boomer Esiason and the Terps in a closely contested Penn State victory. So he didn't have any recommendations. Now, when we were in State College, he could give us anything. I mean, you name it, we had it at Penn State. So he hasn't been to Purdue in a long, long time. He's never called a game there either. These were 2 to check off his list, which is a very small list of places that he has not called a game. And so these 2 weeks will be kind of anomalies, and I think then as we go and get set on our Big Ten slate the rest of the year, I will start getting the full Todd Blackledge culinary experience. But he did tell me one piece of advice. He said, if you're going to eat with me all year, you better get in the gym.
Yeah, you're gonna have some calories to burn. Like your caloric intake is gonna go up, so you're gonna have to you're gonna have to do it, especially the night before the game. You got to counteract it in some way. At least it's a primetime game though, right, Noah? So if he takes you out for a feedback on Friday night, you've got some of the day the next day to recover before you're on the air.
Yeah, and I'm going to need every bit of it. I'm going to need every second, every hour, every minute. And I take it. I take full control, full command of my game day schedule, which has been nice.
Yeah, and Todd's a large guy too, so I'm sure he can pack it away. All right, some actually important questions here. Well, I don't know. Those questions were important to me, but some actual questions about the game here. What are you feeling about this? I'm sure you're studying up on the cues. You know it. Haven't played anybody yet. Step up in competition in a big game. What have you made of your alma mater so far in the first 2 weeks?
Yeah, look, I agree that the competition that they've had weeks 1 and 2 hasn't been necessarily what they're going to see the rest of the season. I get that. But to outscore these two teams 113-7, there's still something to be said about that. Mm-hmm. And there's still something to be said about how smooth the offense has looked and how dominant the defense has been. Do I expect that to continue? No. But at least they deserve the credit that they should be given based on the performance they've put together at home these first 2 weeks. Now you've got a real test, and your first real test, not just your first road game, but a Big Ten opponent, a team that, while very different with a new head coach and a new quarterback from what they were last year, a team that did go to the Big Ten championship a year ago and still has plenty of talent on both sides of the ball. It's going to be a step-up offensive line from what they've seen the first 2 weeks, which will be a good test for this defensive front that has looked great and really should perform pretty well, even in this game. But I think Purdue is going to pose some different things. They've got some talent on the outside, but most specifically, it's going to start and end with Hudson Card at quarterback. The kid's good. He's a transfer from Texas. The coaching staff has been talking publicly and also in our meetings with them today. They know how good he is, and they know that they can't allow him to beat them in any way, shape, or form. They know he wants to throw it, but he is more than capable as a runner, to the point that he actually played high school football, did Hudson Card, with Garrett Wilson, and was a wide receiver as a sophomore, opposite of Garrett Wilson. And Hudson Card, who is now the quarterback at Purdue, had over 1,000 yards as a sophomore wide receiver and 13 touchdowns opposite Garrett Wilson, who we just saw what he did Monday night with the Jets. So this dude's talented overall as a football player. To me, you stop him, you stop that.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously Garrett Wilson had that unbelievable catch on Monday, and now we'll see how he does the rest of the season with Zach Wilson. That's neither here nor there. But, Card, he was in and out of he got chances at Texas, right? Like, he got a few starts. Stuff always kept happening, whatever it was in his career. Now he's there at Purdue. You mentioned the new coaching staff and Ryan Walters. I'm intrigued what you're seeing from them, from a play calling perspective. You look at Harrell and Dagey and that staff there. It's from the Texas Tech air raid Mike Leach background, but you're mentioning Card running. Where are we at in true air raid fling it around versus how they've modernized it for what they're doing right now?
Yeah, so Graham Harrell, I had West Virginia twice last year, and that's where he was the offensive coordinator a season ago. He had J.T. Daniels at quarterback, who he actually worked with when he was the OC at USC as well. So it was a full circle moment for him. And now J.T. Daniels is literally, this is not an exaggeration, he is literally on his fourth school in college. He's playing at Rice right now. They just had an upset over Houston, and J.T. Daniels, who might have a doctorate at this point, led them to the victory. And so I remember talking to Graham last year about his offense and with JT, and, he was excited overall. But when you hear him talk this year with Hudson, he's beaming. He's almost over the moon. And the reason he said, and this is a direct quote from him, he said, if I could build the perfect quarterback for this system, it's Hudson Card. And it's not because of his throwing ability. The throwing ability is really at the top of it, but it's because he has the capability to run, and he knows when to do it. He doesn't just automatically go to his feet, despite them being such a weapon for him. And I think that's what you're going to see is the Syracuse defense has to be really smart against him, because he can extend a play and still just let it fly and be right on target. That was exactly when we talked earlier today with defensive coordinator Rocky Long. That was what he said is it's more often than not, essentially, he said he's on the money. So even when he's on the run, even when he's throwing across his body, he's finding his target. He's hitting it pretty precisely. And that, to me, is where they're going to have to be extra disciplined on Saturday is they have to make sure that even when they contain him initially, if he's out of the pocket, now he's on the move, you think you have him dead to rights, you don't. And I think with this offense, to your question, they're getting there through 2 games. It will look even different than it does right now, probably midway through the season. But they've got a guy at quarterback who still has another year of eligibility after this, who I think they're incredibly excited about. I think that they know has the chops to really get it done. And in the Big Ten this year could try to make some noise, certainly towards the second half of the season. And my favorite thing with Purdue, Brian, is every year it feels like they have a way of finding some kind of upset that nobody expects. That's why their nickname is actually the Spoiler Makers. And I expect something like that to happen later in the season for them. The hope then from the Q side is that Syracuse can find a way to play Spoiler Maker themselves this weekend in West Lafayette.
All right, good. Later in the season's good. All right, last thing for you, Noah. You mentioned Rocky Long. We got to really hear from him for the first time as a member of the Syracuse staff last week when he was on Dino's show during the week. What'd you get out of talking to him? Because, man, hearing him last week, this is a guy that feels like he's literally, there's nothing he has not seen in coaching now in the last 50 years.
Yeah, so Catherine Tappan, our sideline reporter, asked him really just about the head coach versus the defensive coordinator, the major differences that he's seen, because he's got as much head coaching experience at the college and Division I level as pretty much anybody. He was a head coach at San Diego State from 11 to 19, and before that, the head coach at New Mexico from 98 to 08. So we're talking about pretty much 20 years of head coaching experience as a Division I football coach. And you could tell how much more at ease he is as the coordinator versus the head man. He didn't want to be the guy in charge anymore, and that's why he eventually stepped down at New Mexico, rather at San Diego State, I should say, in 2019. Is he just said it was getting to a point where he's like, I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to watch football, watch film, and then coach on the side, and that's what I want to do. And so he went back to the D.C. at New Mexico. This has been a couple years in the making, as you know, getting him here to Syracuse. He had recommended guys before this. And finally, when Dino came back to him this year, when the spot was open again, he basically said, who else do you got? And Rocky said, the only one I have is me at this point. And Dino's like, great, sounds like a plan. And here he is. So I think he's excited to be where he's at. He likes the defense. He mentioned a couple of guys that he's really been a fan of coaching, like Marlowe Wax, which I think is not shocking to anybody. Isaiah Johnson, he's really enjoyed so far. Elijah Clark, he thinks, has a really a legitimate chance of being not just a pro, but a very good pro. So he's seen some things that he's liked out of just the pop of this defense. But more than anything, I think he's enjoying the process of just being a football coach and not worrying about recruiting and not worrying about going out and doing media and taking phone calls and then doing phone calls and all the extra stuff that comes with being the guy in charge. So you can tell that he's got a good vibe, and so far, obviously, the results have been excellent.
Yeah, outstanding. They've given up basically one play in 2 weeks so far. All right, no, man, always good to chat. Safe travels this weekend, and we'll be watching, my friend. Thanks for hopping on.
Brian, you're the best, man. Appreciate you, and you know where to find me anytime.
All right, Noah Eagle, NBC Sports. Catch him and Todd Blackledge, Catherine Tappan on NBC and Peacock on Saturday night at 7:30. Looking forward to this. Little primetime action. Big TV for the Cuse this weekend. Good stuff, good stuff. We'll take a break. Much more to come after this. In this hour, brought to you by William Mattar. Hurt in a car? Call William Mattar. 444-4444. Back after this. CuseSportsTalk.com, ESPN Radio.